Hi there, everybody. Welcome to your 4 to 5. My name is Eric Chilton, and this is Chad Silver, Monique Robinson, Laura Coleman. You're not last on purpose, Laura. I went down the line.
You're right, yeah.
You know, they save the best for last.
That's right, that's right.
Oh, goodness.
Just playing, you guys are all the best, and so are you at home watching us on News 2, Fire Stick, Roku, and the News 2 app.
Coming up on Facebook today, we're talking about National Beach Day.
Yay.
So Eric's wondering, we're all wondering, what is your favorite beach memory? Let us know in the Facebook comments, and we might be sharing it a little bit later. But first, we've got to get to the forecast. It's a busy radar today.
Yes, things are busy today, but the good news is, as we go through this week, things will change. That's what the weather does. It's always ever changing, which means we get to see a better picture as we get through your day tomorrow. This is a close look at the radar. I'm going to switch over to Max 2. If you could just switch over to Max 2, this is a zoomed in look of the storms. And as I switch over to Max 2, we'll get to see a wider image of what these storms look like as we go through today. So these storms currently are moving through the mountains. They've crossed on over into the mountains as of now. You see this line stretching well into the southern portions there of Virginia. All that lightning is making its way further east as this line of storms continues to push towards the east. North Wilkesboro is getting the heavy downpours as of now. Our futurecast painting that picture for the next couple of hours. The central Piedmont shows that line pushing in closer towards that 6 p.m. hour and then continuing through about 8 p.m. Now you can see the darker reds and yellows are no longer being picked up on the southern edge of this line because they're starting to weaken as this line moves towards the east. This is around 8 p.m. Now as we get through the 10 p.m. hour, things should be mostly clear. We could see a lingering shower or storm across the area. As that line continues to move well to the east of us, that's when things are really dry. So for tonight, not expecting any rounds of showers and storms once you head to bed. As always, it's important to download that WFMY News 2 app to your phone, whether you have a Google phone or you have an Apple iPhone, an Android. Sorry about that. I don't have one. I apologize. You can download it by using that QR code down in the bottom corner of your screen. Very simple to do so. Make sure to do it now before those storms move in.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Right now, we are learning more about a deadly crash in Randolph County. State Highway Patrol says it happened last night just after 9 in Trinity. A nurse living near the scene heard the commotion and immediately went to help.
Called a friend of mine this morning and we talked a little bit. We'll talk some more. And I'll pray a lot. And it doesn't matter how long I've been in nursing. You know, I've seen death, but it never gets easier. And I feel for the parents.
Terrifying. State troopers say 2 cars were traveling in opposite directions on Finch Farm Road. That's when 18-year-old Emily McAllister crossed the center line and hit the other car. A passenger in McAllister's car, 18-year-old Sydney Langston, died at the scene. We spoke with her best friend today, who says she's dealing with constant waves of grief.
Did it really? Just like sometimes when you're thinking about it, it just hits you. Like when I woke up this morning, I have pictures of her on my wall. And then I have her glasses she was gonna come by and get and never did. And her bathing suit top from Disney. And it's just hard. Because it's like everywhere I turn in my room, there's something of hers, even though I didn't know it.
Troopers say neither McAllister nor Langston had on a seatbelt. McAllister has serious injuries. As for the other car, both the driver and a 14-year-old passenger were treated for serious injuries. Officials say charges are pending.
There are new efforts today to find an elderly High Point woman who's been missing for a week. Volunteers gathered today to pass out flyers in hopes of finding Hetty Dawkins.
I knew her when she was a counselor way back then with High Point City Schools. When I saw her face, I was like, I recognize that lady, I know her. And I think the more eyes that are looking, the better. I am a retired principal, and I lost a student of my own. And he was aggressively looked for, and this just brings back memories, and I felt like I needed to do whatever I could do to help today.
We really been out there searching, and it's really hard, but I'll stay out here all day as I have to.
Investigators say Dawkins has dementia and likely needs immediate medical attention. Several search groups found things like fabric or food that they think are linked to Miss Dawkins, but investigators have not confirmed a match. Greensboro police want to hear from you about the next police chief. The department is hosting a virtual meeting tomorrow at 4:30 to get input. You can find more information on the department's Facebook page. Teresa Biffle has been serving as the interim chief since Brian James left months ago.
Scammers are already on the prowl, looking to dupe borrowers eager for debt relief after President Biden announced the government will cancel up chunks of student loan debt for millions of Americans. Lachelle Yates is the director of communications for the Better Business Bureau of Central and Northwest North Carolina. She says with any new government initiative, scammers try to take advantage of any confusion that might be out there.
And what we expect to see is sound-alike agencies or look-alike websites that will mirror government agencies or government websites, where they'll try to take advantage and try to gather personal information. So social security numbers, emails, passwords, those kinds of things.
Yates says there are several red flags to look out for. She recommends borrowers stay wary of random phone calls and text messages claiming to be from the government.
In most cases, the government is not going to be contacting you in this way unless you've already given them permission. One thing to remember is you never have to pay money for a free government program. Scammers will try to take advantage of you and say that you can get additional services or faster service if you pay a fee. That is never true.
Lastly, Yates says it's important to do your own research about any loans that you may owe. You can do this by going to official websites like ed.gov and studentaid.gov.
If you've got more than $10,000 in federal student loans that won't be forgiven, there are some other relief options out there. For example, teacher loan forgiveness helps certain full-time teachers. Public service loan forgiveness helps government and nonprofit workers. Income-driven payment plans can help lower monthly payments. Military service loan forgiveness can help members of the armed forces. And AmeriCorps can assist people who finished an approved program. Keep in mind, private student loans are not eligible for any of those programs or Biden's plan. Refinancing a private loan might be the best option. To learn more about these options and federal student loan forgiveness, just text the word debt to 336-379-5775. We will send you a link to our comprehensive breakdown. We'll be right back.
August is National Breastfeeding Awareness Month, and the American Heart Association wants moms to know that even a little breastfeeding can protect heart health for both mom and baby.
Breastfeeding can have long-term cardiovascular health benefits for both mom and baby, according to the American Heart Association. A recent study shows women who breastfeed at some point in their lives are 17% less likely to die from cardiovascular disease compared to women who don't breastfeed. Researchers followed patients for over 10 years and found moms who breastfed were less likely to develop heart disease, strokes, and cardiovascular disease. A study published last year shows babies who had breast milk had lower blood pressure at 3 years of age compared to children who did not nurse. The blood pressure was lower regardless of how long the toddlers had breast milk or if they were fed other nutrition and foods. The American Heart Association recommends breastfeeding for 12 months for baby's health and transitioning to other sources of nutrients beginning at about 4 to 6 months old to make sure the baby is getting enough micronutrients. And for moms, breastfeeding has also been associated with a lower risk of breast and ovarian cancer and type 2 diabetes.
This is very, very interesting. You know, I'm not a mother, but I do have friends who chose to breastfeed, and oftentimes you hear the narrative of how it's great for the baby, you know, to limit long-term and short-term illnesses, but I did not know all the positive health benefits for the mom. I didn't know that until today, actually.
Yeah, but it's interesting because I know that breastfeeding is still a challenge for a lot of mothers. So although there are so many health benefits for the child and the mother, I watch on TikTok, I hear stories from family and friends about how sometimes it just doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
So it also sometimes it just is the case for some people.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, but if you are someone who can breastfeed, that's good information to know.
Yes. Now, oftentimes breastfeeding moms who work outside the home must find ways to incorporate pumping into their schedule. WFMY News 2's Megan Malaris shared on Instagram a helpful hack to save time.
Get a plastic bag, put all your pieces back in there, put it in the fridge with the milk. That way the milk residue on the equipment won't spoil and you can give it all a good scrub as soon as you have time.
I love that Megan's been doing these. She's been posting these little videos throughout the month. And as we know, TikTok is very helpful, a great way to learn new information.
Yeah, she's definitely been very useful with even doing verifies on there too about debunking some things. I think it's really helpful to use technology. As I said, I learned some information from TikTok prior to even watching this story. So it's really good to kind of use these tools and Instagram, TikTok to kind of spread this information.
Absolutely. What's also great in that video, she was actually in our pumping room that we have here at WFMY News 2, and it's great to see other businesses, other jobs, other public spaces like malls and things of that nature having room so mothers can pump, and we're normalizing this and we're talking about it more. It's coming up a lot in conversation.
And it makes them feel more comfortable to come back to the workplace, because I know when mothers are adjusting back to their everyday schedule, it's hard to integrate that as well as doing your work. But if your job embraces it, it makes you feel good to be back at work.
Absolutely, because remember, as women, we can do both.
We can do it all.
We'll be right back.
So I've been keeping a close eye on this line of storms that are moving through the western Piedmont. As this loops through, I want you to notice a couple of things with me as I analyze the radar. There's a lot of lightning with this line of storms, meaning that this is just a very loud line of storms, as well as seeing the red and yellow on here indicates that these are some very heavy downpours as well with these storms. So we're talking a loud, rainy, wet line of storms that's making its way through. Beyond that, we don't have any severe weather concerns per se with this line as of yet, but as it continues to move towards the east, not expecting severe threats, but it is expected to maintain the strength that we're already seeing with these lightning strikes and heavy downpours. The temperature, the air overall that it's moving into is right for storm development or for continued storm strength. So we're talking about temperatures being very warm in the upper 80s, 90s. That's a key ingredient number one that helps for these storms to remain strong. The second one is the dew points, the moisture, in fact, that's in the air. Our dew points currently reading in the 70s in High Point. Most of the area is very humid when you walk outside. It's another key ingredient, which means as this line crosses into the central Piedmont, it will remain strong as it is now over the western Piedmont. Current dew points sitting at 69 in Greensboro specifically. Saw that reading in High Point was just a few degrees warmer. I want you to take notice over the next couple of days though, the humidity falls off. We'll get a break from it for your Thursday, your Friday, staying fairly low for Saturday. Things change as we go to the start in the early part of next week as we get another couple of disturbances that make their way through. So keeping a close eye to the radar for the next several hours, but your 7 days shows you a very normal temperature-wise forecast staying around those mid-80s. Be sure to download the WFMY News 2 app so you can be up to date with all your weather news. You see it down there in the bottom of your screen, that QR code. Use your phone, scan it, and download the app.
It is time for Chilton's Useless Trivia Part 3. Since kids are back in school now, Eric looked back at the history of teachers, in particular, how the job looked way back in the 1800s. You won't believe it.
Children, quiet. We're getting ready to talk about your teachers. In particular, teachers in 1872. I found this online with weareteachers.com. Could not believe what teachers back in those days had to deal with. Listen to this. These are the rules if you're a teacher in 1872 somewhere in the United States. Every day the teachers have to fill the oil lamps, I'm assuming kerosene lamps, and clean the chimney. Teachers had to make the pens for each student to their specifications, like literally whittle the pens so they can dip it in the inkwell and write with. That's a lot of work there. Male teachers, guess what? You get 1 evening a week to court a female, and if you go to church regularly, you get 2 evenings a week. How about this? We talk about an 8-hour or 9-hour workday. No, after 10 hours, the teachers may use the remaining time of their day to read good books or the Bible. Female teachers who engage in what they call unseemly conduct, or if they get married, are dismissed. If you get married, you're out. Then some advice for teachers. Every teacher should lay aside from each pay a goodly sum of money so they can benefit themselves in the declining years, it says here, so that they will not become a burden on society. Yeah, no 401k, you are the 401k. All right, any teacher who smokes, uses liquor in any form, or goes to the pool, that's a problem. For men, if you go to the barber shop to get shaved, this will give us, quote, good reason to suspect your worth, intention, integrity, and honesty. Just go into the barbershop. I like this one. The teacher who performs his labor faithfully and without fault for 5 years is up for the possible raise of 25 cents per week, providing the Board of Education thinks you're worth the quarter. Women teachers, you may ride in a buggy with a man, hello, but only if it's your father or your brother. Goodbye. There you go. 1872, teachers had it tough. So when all of us think about our jobs today and you're complaining, think about those poor souls back then.
All right,
it was
Eric,
rough.
You got to tell the people what you use for that horse
Okay,
and
yeah,
buggy,
Lauren was asking, where did you get all these props from? Right. So that cable, it's a big, huge power cable that I found in Studio 2. And I said, oh, this might work. And our photographer, Manning, he goes, yeah, that'll work. So we bent it, made it look like rain. And then for the...
Yeah, I was like, where did you get that barber cape?
That is a cloth that we put over tables. If our commercial department is shooting like a product shot, they put that over the table and put it on, which we don't do very much anymore. But anyway, all that was in the other room.
That's crazy.
They had it rough. stuff. And I think it's so funny. Lauren goes, how would they know if somebody dated or not on a certain night? But they probably all told everything back then because you're scared to death.
So were the female teachers super young then? So once you're married, you're out? Were most of the teachers men?
Remember, in those times, I bet they got married
Very
at like
early.
17 years older, you know, something like that. So the idea was, this is back then, nobody hate, back then, it's like when they would get married, then they're probably going to take care of a house and raise kids. So you had to quit.
It's
Isn't that
such
crazy?
the reverse now because you usually see more women as teachers than men.
I don't understand the shaving in a barber shop like that. Why would you be fired or looked upon badly for that? I don't know what that is.
I love that if you were a woman, it was almost like the priesthood.
Yeah, yes.
Like, I mean, it was like very strict rules.
You could
like
only ride in a horse carriage with your father or your brother unless you're married. Nobody else.
The pen thing got me. I think that would be a great thing to do in detention. Like if you got in trouble,
you make the pens.
You make the pens. Because as a teacher, I mean, that's a lot. You know, you're doing your lesson plans and I got to make these pens.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, you don't have a social life, so I mean, it's not like you're
can't
doing
date
else.
during the week.
It's very good. All right, let's all be thankful that we live where we live right now. We'll be right back.
Today is National Beach Day. The holiday is meant to raise awareness of the beauty of beaches while also calling attention to keep them safe and clean. And we have so many beautiful beaches here in the Carolinas. So I asked you on my Facebook page, what is your favorite beach memory? Mary Hill says, as a child, my Sunday school taking us to the beach every summer. Sophia George says, when I bodyboard and catch a wave perfectly, that rides me straight back to shore. Also seeing a stingray swim by my feet in the Keys when I was a kid. Bobby Odom wrote meeting Patrick Swayze on the beach when he was filming for the movie Point Break. Very cool. And then Larry McCraw said, we renewed our wedding vows on the beach at Oak Island in 2019, 30 years. Brenda Flores says, my granddaughter taking me parasailing.
That's Patrick Swayze.
I know.
Yeah. Bobby Odom is just full of surprises.
He is full of
He
surprises.
is. I want him to tell us on the Facebook page because I know you're there, Bobby. He's
Hey,
there
Bobby.
every day.
What beach is behind
Where
us?
was he? Oh, I don't know.
What beach is this?
It's Surf Check, so it's probably a North or South Carolina beach, but I'm not sure which one that is.
Looks
I wish
nice,
I was
though.
there right
Wherever
now.
it is, I want to be there. Yeah, I don't care which one it is.
For me, I've been to a lot of beaches in different states, different countries and things like that. But my favorite beach memory would have to be going to Myrtle Beach in the summer to see my grandparents. They live about 30 miles outside of Myrtle Beach. And, I'm a military brat, so we never lived close to them. So every summer we would go to the beach, spend the day there, go shopping there. We would go to dinner. And my grandparents, when they were much younger, they would get in the water with us. So that was always something that
That's
I looked
fun.
forward to.
That's funny because that's mine, Myrtle. When I was growing up, we went to Myrtle and Wrightsville, so it was two totally different experiences, but those are my two beaches.
I just love the beach. I feel
I
like
do too.
the beach is number one, the rainforest is number two, but I just love being outside at the beach. And whenever I would go as a child, my dad and my brother are very great swimmers. So my dad would be that one that's like way out there. We're like,
no.
who is that? And that's my dad. My brother used to be a lifeguard at the beach, so he'd also be all the way out there. My mom, on the other hand, she's fried potato on the side with red tomato, not a potato, sorry mom, tomato, red on the side, watching and worried as everyone's all the way out to sea.
Growing up in Wisconsin, we would go to Florida for spring break every year, and so I think it would just be like getting the whole family together. We rent a beach house and just escape the winter and the tundra up north.
And then to think you would live in Florida later on in your life, isn't that
I
funny?
think that was probably part of the reason I did live there, because I loved it so much. I said, why do we have to go back? I'm just going to move there.
And you were in the tundra for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Way up in Wisco.
No thanks.
It's cold.
All right, let us know about your beach on Facebook, and we'll take a break.
Volunteers and officers rally for a missing 80. How volunteers and officers rally for a missing 81-year-old. Can you hear me?
Okay. Hey there, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. It is 4:28 and 28 seconds. Mark.
And now it is 4:28 and 32 seconds, Mark. Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana.
I left my clicker. This one's better anyway.
Signs that you see on your screen to try to discourage pedestrians from lingering. But some feel these signs are targeting a specific community. What you think, George? Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. These new signs are targeting a specific community.
I'm on everything. I don't hear anything.
Here we go.
I've been on this whole time. Hello? Did you get it? Oh, okay. Sorry. I've been on this whole time.
Hi there, welcome back to your 4 to 5. We're going to play the back nine now. Last nine to go. We're going to start this way.
Hey,
Lauren.
everybody.
Monique, Eric, and Chad, ladies first. That's right.
I wish we had like baseball players have walk-up songs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A hype song.
I can walk
for
up
each
to
of us.
silence.
Wow.
Okay, girl.
Oh, that's more dramatic. I like that. I like that.
Wow.
I like that. That was great. Well, thanks for watching us on News 2, Fire Stick, Roku, and the News 2 app.
Coming up, we are talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting behind the wheel again to race at North Wilkesboro Speedway this week. We actually talked to him today because he's already there, so we're going to be looking at that in just a little bit. But first, the weather. A busy radar today.
It is busy today, but the good news is as we continue through this week, things will be changing and quieting down. Now, as we currently look at the radar, there is a line of storms that are moving in through the western Piedmont. If you're in Mount Airy, you just got the round of a downpour as well as some lightning there. Wilkesboro, things are edging on out of your neck of the woods. I said it in the last half hour, but as we start this new one, I want to give you time to do it. Right in the bottom corner of your screen, that QR code, you've seen it before, maybe at a restaurant. You can use your phone just simply as you do it there right now while you're watching the newscast. Take out your phone, screenshot it, and then you can download the app right to the palm of your phone. But most of you probably already had it. I know you heard it before like a broken record. Just helping the folks out that haven't done it yet. As we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see the lightning and the downpours. The red that you're seeing on there is indicating this is some very heavy rainfall that's moving through. Also want to point out behind the heavy rainfall, you see the green. That means that it's going to start as very loud, very heavy, and then it's going to weaken and then linger with some lighter showers. All of this is moving to the east, and hey, if you're in Greensboro, you are in the east. This is a futurecast showing how that line moves through. This is the 6 p.m. hour, just to the edge of us in Winston-Salem, so roughly about an hour or so from now. Continuing through about 9 p.m., you can see it has weakened and now is raining heavy rain in Burlington. That line continues to move towards the east, and things will clear as we end out the night. Now, all across Missouri, Indiana, Ohio area, you can see that brown swirl. That's drier air that's going to be moving through, which will lead to less humid and dry conditions for the midweek.
Driving around Greensboro, you might have noticed some new signs at busy intersections asking people to stay off the medians.
They say no standing or sitting anytime. WFNY News 2's Jalen Gilkey spoke with city officials today to find out why the signs are going up.
In 2018, the city of Greensboro passed an ordinance trying to prevent pedestrians from standing or sitting along the medians amongst some of our most busy streets. 4 years later, not much had changed as people continue to occupy those medians.
I would say I hear weekly from folks who are concerned about people who are in medians that are really thin. Some of those medians, if you ever look at them, have kind of a drop off on them, so it's easy to trip or fall away from it if you're walking around.
So now the city has put out these new signs that you see on your screen to try to discourage pedestrians from lingering. But some feel these signs are targeting a specific community.
In reference to the homeless community, not everyone who is doing that is necessarily without housing. So we're not getting into deciphering who is and who isn't. Our focus is really on safety, and we want to make sure nobody gets hit by a car.
Right now, the city has put out 29 of these signs with the possibility of more coming in the future.
Jalen, thank you. Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Right now, we're learning more about a deadly crash in Randolph County. State Highway Patrol says it happened last night just after 9 in Trinity. A nurse living near the scene heard the commotion and immediately went to help.
Called a friend of mine this morning, and we talked a little bit. We'll talk some more. And I'll pray a lot. And it doesn't matter how long I've been in nursing. You know, I've seen death, but it never gets easier. And I feel for the parents.
State troopers say 2 cars were traveling in opposite directions on Finch Farm Road. That's when 18-year-old Emily McAllister crossed the center line and hit the other car. A passenger in McAllister's car, 18-year-old Sydney Langston, died at the scene. McAllister has serious injuries. Troopers say neither McAllister nor Langston had on a seatbelt. As for the other car, both driver and a 14-year-old passenger were treated for serious injuries. Officials say charges are pending.
There are new efforts to find an elderly High Point woman who's been missing for a week now. Volunteers gathered today to pass out flyers in hopes of finding Hetty Dawkins. Investigators say Dawkins has dementia and likely needs immediate medical attention. Several search groups found things like fabric or food they think are linked to Miss Dawkins, but investigators haven't confirmed a match. Greensboro police want to hear from you about the next police chief. The department is hosting a virtual meeting tomorrow at 4:30 to get input. You can find more information on the department's Facebook page. Teresa Biffle has been serving as the interim chief since Brian James left months ago. And we are quickly approaching the Carolina Classic Fair. Organizers revealed this year's entertainment. The list includes some R&B throwbacks like C&C Music Factory and Rob Bass, along with Nico Moon, Restless Road, and Frank Ray. This year will also feature an Irish band called Rend Collective. Discounted tickets are for sale on carolinaclassicfair.com. The fair starts a month from today. And you know it's getting close to fall when we're talking about fair season.
Yes, which I love. I love
Right.
it. And when I was reading this today, I'm showing the cheesier side of my music taste here. The C&C Music Factory and Rob Bass, I will be there for that.
Okay.
Especially Rob Bass. If he sings It Takes Two, I'm good to go.
Well, I'm going to be there for the food.
Yeah, that too. That's second.
I always love just going to the fair and see what kind of music. And they always have such, like C&C Music Factory is a random act to go to a fair, and I love that. When they come to the Central Carolina Fair too in Greensboro, they always have just like throwbacks from a long time ago.
Which I love, and sometimes one or two hit wonders, you know, which I love even better. You know,
I was going to ask, like, get me hip. Are these local artists or are these like
you
mainstream?
mean the two I mentioned, or the
just the ones that were listed?
It's all over the place. So they'll get regional, and then sometimes, like you said, throwback acts, and then once in a while they'll pull in some local people too.
Okay.
Which I love.
C&C Music Factory, you have heard of several of their songs.
Yes.
They're on like the Now That's What I Call volume.
Oh, so I probably just didn't know the name, but heard the song.
I can't even think of it
Because
right
when you
now.
were listing them off, I'm like, I don't know
know
if I know
that,
any of these.
You know that Everybody Dance.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's
But they play at all the basketball games. And stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's. We'll play some songs during the commercial.
Okay.
We will.
All right. It is almost time for Dale Earnhardt Jr. to race at North Wilkesboro Speedway. He will hit the track tomorrow for the Cars Tour Late Model Stock Race. He's there today getting some practice in. And WFMY News 2's Amanda Ferguson got his thoughts ahead of the big event.
While racing doesn't get underway until tomorrow, it wasn't a quiet day at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Dale Earnhardt Jr. taking some time to spend with fans, signing some autographs and answering some questions for them and for us too. He's already impressed with today's crowd for just practice and qualifying. He says camping is sold out, thousands of tickets have been sold. He says he's already looking beyond this event and what the track could bring in the future.
And I think we're seeing that come true today, that this track has a purpose. It can be a big asset to this community and all the surrounding counties as a multi-use piece of property, not just racing, right? You can have all types of festivals, holiday events. It can really serve the community, and they would probably really enjoy having something like that happen here.
Wherever he shows up, a crowd shows up.
Right.
Everywhere he goes.
I mean, this is such a big deal. I can't wait to see like what national sports media picks up on this, because I mean, it's such a huge deal.
Yeah, it's funny. I was in Charlotte one time at, what's that, it's a combo, Epicenter. You ever see downtown Charlotte with all the restaurants and bars? And I went in, he owns a bar there called Whiskey River, and I went in, and it seems like my friends and everybody we met, they were just there in case he showed up. Like, it's amazing how people follow
I mean,
him.
he's even impressed. He was saying that the crowd is so big today and it's just qualifying and practice. So imagine what tomorrow will bring when he's actually racing for the first time in this race in nearly 30 years.
Wow, that's that long. Well, he's a legend, that's for sure.
And to see him in that Sundrop car, that's going to be wild.
That's really cool. I love it.
All right, moving over to high school football, it is time for you to vote for our Friday Football Fever Game of the Week. Head on over to our website, WFMYnews2.com. You'll see where you can vote, and at the top of our homepage, you can see all of your choices there and vote for your school as many times as you'd like. The poll closes tomorrow at 5 p.m. We'll be right back.
Today marks 1 year since American troops left Afghanistan, ending a 20-year war, the longest in U.S. history. Days before the departure, mayhem erupted at the airport, causing thousands to flee. 1 year later, some remain in the country, fearful for their life.
The final image of the last U.S. service member leaving Afghanistan, taken at the stroke of midnight 1 year ago. The chaos that has marked the end of America's longest war has come to define President Biden's botched withdrawal following the Taliban's rapid takeover, triggering the collapse of the U.S.-backed government and national army, sending tens of thousands of terrified Afghans to Kabul's main airport, begging to be airlifted to safety, even passing their young children to soldiers, hoping at least they would be saved. A suicide bombing in the crowd carried out by the Afghan affiliate of ISIS killed nearly 200, including 13 U.S. service members. 1 year later, and it's quiet here. All that's left to remind us of the horrors are fragments of people's clothes caught in this razor wire.
Thousands of desperate Afghans came to this gate, the Abbey Gate, in order to flee the Taliban and get on one of those U.S. military aircraft out of the country. But many more were left behind,
including former interpreter Saeed Mortaza Wafa.
We're in a safe house right now.
Sure.
We filmed on smartphones so as not to draw the Taliban's attention to his location.
They always call me American spy. They're still searching for me to find me. Yeah. And
why do they call you an American spy?
Because I was a translator for 3 years for the U.S. Air Forces, and I was very close to the United States Air Forces.
It's unknown exactly how many Afghan translators remain trapped in Afghanistan. For Wafa, 1 year on, too little is being done to improve things.
If you could ask President Joe Biden one question, what would it be?
Help the translator to get into safety. We helped Americans. So why he cannot help all those translators who left behind in here in a very hard situation?
The U.S. government has said it's trying to streamline the visa process, but for far too many Afghans still living in fear of the Taliban, it's not happening fast enough.
Right now, a Triad organization is still taking in Afghan refugees. The North Carolina African Services Coalition has already welcomed more than 300 people.
Absolutely. I mean, looking back for a year, I mean, the journey we came, I mean, it's not only the Afghans that we are resettling. I mean, of course, that is an emergency that happened on a particular time. I mean, but still refugees are coming.
Many refugees left family behind in Afghanistan. The organization says it's working to reunite them. So wonderful that we have groups like this in our area helping out with this, because if you are a refugee, it's kind of hard to find shelter, to find a job, especially if you're not familiar with the language or maybe just the rule of the land in the place that you're going to.
Every time I see, you said it, Chad, but that shot of the plane leaving, all these people trying to hang on to it.
Yes.
The first thing that goes through my head is how bad it must be for you to literally chase a plane and try to get on that. And then also the shots of the children. I hate seeing their faces. They don't know what's going on.
Right, and I feel like just Afghanistan in general has been off our radar now for the last year. I wonder what it's like there now. I mean, have we lost all of the headway or the ground that U.S. forces and the Afghan military made in the years that we were there? Has it just gone back to what it used to be?
It's funny, over time, in decades, we being the Triad, have been known for taking in refugees. The Montagnards, and we've have a long history with this. In Somalia, we have some of that. And it just makes me think about, like you said, starting over in a place where you know what it's like to be in a country where you don't speak the native language. I mean, that's difficult.
Well, it's great that we do stories like this to continue to keep that conversation going, because like you said, we don't talk about it as much since we've pulled out, but that's our job to continue to bring light to that there is a need there.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Oh,
I tricked you, didn't I?
No,
you thought I was going to say we're going to break.
Yep.
I'll let you say.
All right, we'll be right back.
I'm old and tired.
We haven't talked about the tropics a whole lot, but things are changing and getting busier. On our tropical satellite, keeping a close eye to this area of low pressure along the southern portion of the Atlantic Ocean, and it's expected to track to the north and west. And as it does, it could gain some strength and could be the next named storm. We haven't named one in quite a while. That name would be Danielle on this list here. So our tropical season is starting to near the peak of it. That's beginning right around the middle portion of your September month. September 14th is that peak of the season. We're leading to it. Things are getting busier. We could see Danielle soon, but we've been having a break for quite a while when we talk about the tropics. Our radar, though, is busy now here at home. Now, as we look to the radar, there are storms that are off into the western Piedmont. Surrey, Stokes County getting things busy now. As we go over the next 30 minutes, things will change in Rockingham County for sure. Winston-Salem, next round of towns that will be getting those downpours. If you're anywhere in Davie County, you as well. This entire line is moving towards the east, but you can see the tilt with it, meaning the northern places all across here, even up to Caswell County, will get things a little bit earlier as compared to towns like Asheboro, anywhere further south in Randolph County, as this line stretching from the north and east to the south and west continues to track in the eastern direction. Folks along the Virginia border will get things a little bit earlier. The arrival time will be much quicker. Here's a look ahead at the next several days. You can see we're staying dry for your Wednesday, your Thursday, your Friday, and it's going to be less humid. So the end of the week is going to be a nice end to the weekend. Now, the start of the weekend looking good still. Things should stay mainly dry for your Saturday and your Sunday. Now, Labor Day, that's when we get back into that typical afternoon. Got to keep an eye out for showers and storms, but I don't believe we'll have a washout for your Labor Day.
Well, trending now in entertainment news, comedian Chris Rock has declined an invitation to host the next Oscars award show. According to our Raleigh news partners, the comedian addressed the offer this week at a comedy show in Phoenix. During the bit, he reportedly compared going along with the returning gig to returning to the scene of a crime. You'll remember Will Smith assaulted Rock on stage after a joke about his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. If Chris Rock had agreed to next year's award show, it would have been his third time doing so. So I asked you on Facebook, do you think Chris Rock should host the Oscars again? Here's what you had to say. Jeff said, it's too soon for him. There probably hasn't really been a resolution, so I don't blame him. Shayna says he should host it, but wear a football helmet. Linda says he should, but keep his jokes about others to himself this time. Steven says, totally agree. Why go back? Just move on. Amy Adams says, probably a good choice there. I'm sure people are on both sides of this. If I were his agent, now if I'm him, I'm probably doing the same thing. I'm not going to mess with it. But if I was his agent, I'd say, no, you need to do this again and get through it and even like make it light. You know, to be honest, I think he could probably reach out to Will Smith and say, let's come out together, make a joke about it. I think that's a good PR move.
That would be great if they decided to do something like that. I think what I was thinking, if he did it again, I wouldn't personally have an issue with it, but I wonder if it would take away from the Oscars itself, if everybody would make it about that incident that happened.
But then again, you know, money talks. I mean, if you could get those two or even just him to come back, more people will watch the Oscars.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Award shows are declining all the time. So
people be like, I'm ready for another fight.
Right. Well, and if they came
ready.
there's like a pay-per-view event. If they came out together at the beginning and made a joke about it and said, well, we got this over with, see you later, Will, and then he walked away and then let him just do the rest.
Okay, look at you. Maybe they need to hire you for the PR. I think that's a great idea.
Open for all offers.
If it meant that Will Smith smacked you on live television, would you do it?
Yes, if the money's right, yes.
Oh,
there's
money
Tim
talks
Buckley.
like you said. Oh, hey, Tim.
Hi, Tim. I thought Tim was going to walk up.
I know.
Now that would have been funny.
You never know
Hey,
what's going
Tim.
to happen around here.
No,
all right.
We're going away.
Yeah,
and we're not coming back.
It's really going down.
Goodbye.
Can you help me with this? Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 to 5, 4 to 5.
Hey, I just photobombed the 4 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hi, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada.
1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. At least 100 people showed up in High Point. Check 1, 2, 2, 3. What? Okay, this is where the crash came to a halting.
It's time for my 2 cents. It's the first week of school for most Triad students. What an exciting time. A new year means new teachers, new classes, and just an overall new beginning. I used to think a new school year would be a great chance for me to reinvent myself, whether that meant changing my hairstyle or joining a new club or sports team. I wanted a way to stand out and be a new person, even if that meant taking on more than I could handle. I remember my senior year of high school, I was class president, on the debate team, the track and field team, the drama club, and the forensics team. I'm probably missing a few other groups I was a part of. I had this desire to be seen and liked by those around me, but this desire came at a cost. I found myself overwhelmed and not able to give 100% to all the organizations I was involved in. I eventually had to have a talk with myself and asked, why was I doing all these things in the first place? Was I doing it because I enjoyed it? Or was it because I was seeking validation from others? I concluded that it was a combination of the two. From that moment on, I've always pursued things I thought would help me grow as a person or help me to achieve my goals and aspirations. So whether you're starting a new school year or maybe even a new job, it's great to reinvent yourself. Just make sure you're not doing it for other people, but doing it for yourself. That's my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFNY News 2 at 5 starts now.